Yo, 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 yo. What's good with it? It's the homie Mack. Music, art, culture, knowledge. Reporting live from the Dogon. Each one teach one. Each one teach one. Peace and love. Peace and love to all. Man, 2020 has been a mofo. 2020 has been ineffable. It has been beyond words. 2020 been a trip, man. R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. R.I.P. This one hurt. This one really hurt. All life is precious, irrespective if you're a celebrity or someone that is a waiter or a busboy or a delivery man, whatever. All life is precious. All life is precious. All life is precious. All life has meaning. But I think that it's just some people, they just transcend space and time, and they just kind of stand out. But that's not to say they stand out more than others. But that's not to say that other people, because they're not celebrities or famous, whatever, that their lives don't have any value. Every life has value, and I'm not saying that on no all lives matter. Why don't you black folks just get your stuff together tip? I'm just saying, like, we all have to answer to the Most High, God, the Creator, what have you. There's something that is above us, above human consciousness, something that we all have to answer to again. And I don't think it was this. I think the way the Most High intended for life to go, we were supposed to support and love one another. But yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. Real quick, this is a random book review session. Mackin with Mack. Mackin with Mack. Mackin with Mack. Mackin with Mack. Today, I will be reviewing a book that is this book. Let me scoot back a little. This book had a huge impact on my ethos internally. It inspired me. As far as like becoming more politically aware, becoming more militant minded, realizing that showing me who my true enemy is. This book is none other than Monster. Written by Cody Scott, who now goes by Sanyika Shakur. This book was published by Grove Press. Monster, the autobiography of an LA gang member. As you know by now, I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. I know a couple Alpha chapters who they make this compulsory reading for membership. I've come across a couple chapters that do that. What can I say about this book? One of the things that I think is really dope about this book is you see he shows Monster Cody or Sanyika Shakur. He goes by Sanyika Shakur. He goes into his whole transformation of how his paradigm shifted. This book literally starts off with him. First of all, the preface. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I go back and forth. I oscillate back and forth. The preface punches you in the mouth. Let me find. Let me read. Let me read an excerpt. The soldiers are engaged in a civil war, a war without terms, a war fought by any means necessary, with anything at their disposal. Though the setting is not jungle per se, its atmosphere is as dangerous and mysterious as any jungle in the world. Neither side receives funding from any government, nor does either side claim any allegiance to any particular religion or socioeconomic system of government. There are no representatives from either faction in the United Nations, nor does either side recognize the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Recruitment or conscription begins at 11 years of age. Squads of 5 usually make raids into neighboring territories for preemptive strikes or retaliatory hits on enemies and targets useful to the opposition. Although both armies are predominantly made up of males, there are many females involved in the fighting. These infrastructures were built initially on robberies and extortions. Today, however, they are maintained by proceeds from major narcotics deals and distribution throughout America. Each army has a distinct territory. The boundaries of some are very large. Areas are broken by enemy cluster camps. Each army has a flag to which total allegiance is pledged. Each army has its own language, customs, and philosophy, and each has its own GNP. That's just the preface. This book punches you in the mouth. The thing that's really dope about this book is how Sanyika, the author of this book, again, he speaks of gang culture, but it's not limited in scope to just petty thuggery. Like he puts things in context of militancy and saying how pretty much everything that goes on the block between gangs, notably Bloods and Crips, it's depending on where you are, gangster disciples, vice lords, whatever. But he pretty much says how he politicizes gang culture and says how basically everything that gangs do is pretty much a microcosm of what goes on a larger scale in military initiatives globally. Again, he's talking about the Bloods and Crips. Sanyika Shakur, aka Monster Cody, he was a member of A-Tray Gangsta Crips. A-Tray Gangsters are, or ETG, shorthand, ETG. They are located on the west side of South Central Los Angeles, but South Central is being rebranded and gentrified. Shout out to the Rams. That's just a little joke. It's no longer South Central. It's South LA. They're trying to rebrand it. Get the disenfranchised up out of there. Gentrification. Gentrification is violence on an economic level, socioeconomic level. But yeah, in this book, it starts off with him going to, I believe it was 54th Street Elementary. He talks about becoming a Crip was like a rites of passage. He looked up to these guys. He looked up to Sidewinder, different brothers from the set from A-Tray Gangsta. A-Tray Gangsta is a shoot off of the West Side Crips. He talks about all that, how he threw up the sign, he threw up the hood, as they say, before he was even initiated. But in this book, he talks about his initiation. Let me find. Let me see. This is his initiation. A summation of his initiation. Cause you're gonna be down. Watch. Let pronounce, as if telling his son in law school he would be a great lawyer. He stood over me and continued. I remember your little ass used to ride dirt bikes and skateboards, acting crazy and shit. Now you want to be a gangster, huh? You want to hang with real motherfuckers and tear shit up, huh? His tone was probing but approving. He was talking with heated passion and the power of a general father. Stand up. Get your little ass up. How old is you now anyway? 11. But I'll be 12 in November. Damn, I never thought about being too young. At this time, I stood up in front of Lep and never saw the blow to my head come from Huck. Bam! And I was on all fours, struggling for equilibrium, kicked in the stomach. I was on my back, counting stars in the blackness. Grabbed by my collar, I was made to stand again. A solid blow to my chest exploded in pain. In bold red letters on the blank screen that had now become my mind. Bam! Then another. Blows rained on me from every direction. I felt like a pinball. I knew now that if I went down again, I'd be kicked. From the way that the last kick felt, I was almost certain that the GC had kicked me with his pointed Stacey Adams. That's his initiation. He was only 11 years old, getting hands put on him by grown men. Later on, after he was physically initiated, another part of his initiation, he had to pull up on some brims. They gave Cody a sawed-off shotgun with 8 rounds in it, 8 shells, and they told him don't come back until the whole thing is empty. He's 11 years old. They pull up on some brims because apparently the brims were kicking it in the A-Tray gangster territory. They were deep. They were saying, and brims are bloods for those who don't know. The brims were deep. They were pulling up in the A-Tray gangster territory, just kicking it. Asking, banging on people. Where you from? What gang? What set you from? Where you from? Intimidating people. And from a military standpoint, they looked at it as an act of war. So Sidewinder, some of the other people that Monster Cody was with, they told him, look, we got to ride on these people. They rode on them. And when I say they rode. There was a lot of gunplay. People died. And I think the thing that I learned, the main thing that I got from this book is everything boils down, like children, they need a socialization that transitions them into manhood. They need something, manhood or womanhood, to adulthood. They need something that helps them transition. Some people have bar mitzvahs. The Jewish people have bar mitzvahs, and now you're a man. The culture that Cody Scott came from, violence was the connection or the tie that linked you into becoming an adult. Matriculation into adulthood was through violence. One thing about this book, one more thing. This book pretty much talks about the whole culture of the A-Tray gangsters. Again, the philosophy that they had, the terrain, their whole ethos from, wearing the Texas Rangers hats because that represented, A-Tray, the T, A-Tray gangster, to wearing Georgetown because it stands for the gangster G, gangster card. I think this book, it does not glorify violence. It shows you the consequences of violence. And that it's a war, specifically within gang culture, it's a war that has no lasting value because it's still black people killing black people, black bodies destroying other black bodies, and white people capitalizing off of it. I want to get to one of the things that I thought was really, this book, man. One of the things I thought that was really heavy about this book, he talks about the A-Tray gangster and Rolling 60 beef. And how, essentially you go from, this was the first, I want to say it may not have been the first Crip on Crip beef, but it is definitely one of them, the most notable, between, again, the Rolling 60s, or Neighborhood Card, A-Tray and the A-Tray gangsters, the gangster card. He just talks about how, we went from being friends, kicking it with each other, so now we're mortal enemies. I've heard different stories of how the beef started, but I heard it was over a female, then I heard there was a fight. It almost has become folklore. I don't know. It's intense. At one point, Monster Cody talks about how there was and I didn't even believe this. When I heard it, I'm like, nah, this couldn't. He's just trying to sell books. He's not. This didn't really happen. He talks about how there was a dude from Rolling 60s who, I guess the A-Trays, they cornered him, they caught him, and they cut they mutilated him, cut his arms off, chopped up his body, and left his body in front of Washington High School in LA. Monster Cody talks about how they went to a meeting. A-Tray Gangsters went to a meeting, and they brought an arm. It was this dude from Rolling 60s arm. And everybody, I've heard some people call it the War of Infinity. The 60s and the A-Trays, a lot of them got beef to this day. And it is just crazy because it's like there's really no victor. And a lot of the younger ones don't even have any intel about how it really started or why. But again, it's just black bodies destroying other black bodies. But I'm not here to preach. The thing that's really dope is, Monster Cody talks about being incarcerated and how it socialized him and how it politicized him. He read Mark. He was functionally illiterate, but when he went to prison, he learned how to read. He learned Swahili. His political landscape became more prodigious. He learned more. His vocabulary became more expansive. He became, again, more politicized. He read Marx, Lenin, things of that nature. But yeah, let me get to a latter part in this book. It's not enough to say that I had transcended the mindset of being a banger by this time. After having spent 13 years of my young life inside what had initially seemed like an extended family, but had turned into a war machine, I was tired and disgusted with this insatiable appetite for destruction. For destruction. Destruction no longer fed my narcissism. It was not an expression of my thoughts. I wanted to construct something, which in banging is tantamount to treason. I think, through his political matriculation and his growth, his maturity, he realized, like, we dying over some bullshit. And I feel like at the end of the day,